Metro in virtual reality, you say? Oh boy, it's like a dream come true. Or really, I guess it's like a nightmare come true. Like, I'm not one to scare easy, but this game did manage to shiver my timbers a little bit.
Focus on her. Just focus on her and don't stop.
The Metro series is one of my all-time favorites. I like to consider myself as a certified Metro enjoyer. So when these guys offered to sponsor my channel to play Metro Awakening, I was like, hell yeah, put me in, coach. I freaking love Metro. Of course, I do like being transparent with y'all. Full disclosure, this is a sponsored video, but that's not going to sway my opinion, because at the end of the day, Metro Awakening is genuinely a good game. For those that don't know about Metro, well, it's kind of like Fallout in the sense that it's post-apocalyptic, but it's set in Russia, and overall, it's a lot darker and more hardcore. So basically, it's a survival shooter / horror game, all packaged together with a linear and personal storyline. Metro Awakening in particular takes place in 2028. It's before the events of the first game, so it's actually a prequel. You don't play as Artyom. Instead, you play as a beloved side character, Serdar. Or if you're a Metro veteran, you know him as Khan. Basically, Metro Awakening is his origin story. It's the story of how he transformed from Serdar into the Great Khan. I don't want to spoil too much, so I'll just say it's pretty fun to experience his descent into madness. Or, enlightenment, you could say. Overall, it's a pretty solid story. I can't say it's quite as legendary as the tale of Artyom, but it's a pretty neat addition to the world of Metro nonetheless. This game was developed by an outside studio known as Vertigo Games, but it was also made in collaboration with Deep Silver and the original author of the Metro books. So the end result is very true to Metro. The tone, the atmosphere, the themes, it fits right in. It feels just like the first two Metro games. But, it's in VR. It's straight up brutal, too. There's decaying corpses and mutilated bodies everywhere. I'm really glad to see they're not pulling their punches when it comes to the mature themes here. They committed to showing you the true horrors of the Metro. In terms of pure graphical fidelity, well, it's not quite as breathtaking as Metro Exodus. I really don't mind the lower graphics though. Naturally, that's gonna happen with VR games due to hardware limitations. Art direction is always more important than raw graphical fidelity anyway. And this game, this series as a whole, has some damn fine art direction. The raw aura is immaculate. Just walking through the tunnels and the hallways, it's eerie and haunting. And yet, it can be oddly comforting sometimes. Or maybe that's just me and my twisted personality. And if you play on the recommended brightness setting, it'll be pitch black in some areas. The game will sometimes force you to use your flashlight on the lowest setting, ensuring that you can only see about 1 foot in front of you. Now that is pretty spooky. Probably the scariest part has got to be those damn spiders. First time I encountered one, it crawled onto my hand and I instinctively slapped it, thus turning it into green goo. Sometimes they'll even crawl across your face or jump scare you out of nowhere. It's freaking diabolical. Like they had a field day with these things. The baby spiders are harmless though. It's only the big spiders that you have to worry about. They're pretty hard to hit because they dart all over the place and are surprisingly tanky. But the worst part is that they can jump on your face from across the room. Then they'll crawl all over your head and stab you. Every time they crawl on me, I get a whole body-wide sensation of pure disgust, or what girls like to call the ick. And when they're finished violating you, they turn off your flashlight, leaving you in complete darkness. There's no cooldown on their jump attack either. They will immediately jump on your face again and again and again until you finally kill them. I tried slapping, grabbing, even shooting these things off my face, but none of it works. Once they're on you, they're on you. You just gotta bend over and take it. It was like a never-ending cycle of torture. So after dying several times, I succumbed to a blind rage and just started mag-dumping every spider I came across. Honestly, it was totally worth it. Turns out there's actually an arachnophobia mode. So if you turn that on, you can avoid them altogether. But besides that, the gameplay as a whole is pretty dang fun. Being able to physically open containers, pick up loot, and then inspect it, it's so satisfying. It really feeds the loot goblin that dwells inside me. You can also do little things like inspect your watch, your equipment, your weapons. It's freaking cool. It's so addicting that I actually had a hard time listening to the dialogue because I was too busy fidgeting. Normally people would fidget with something like a fidget spinner, but not for me. My fidget toy is a Tokarev. So you guys already know, my favorite part is the gunplay, the combat. From the very moment I picked up the Tokarev in the tutorial, it was like someone activated my CIA agent sleeper code. I didn't need that damn tutorial. I'm American, so I already knew exactly what to do. By that, I mean the gunplay is very intuitive. It's just like shooting a gun in real life, minus the weight and physical feedback of course, but you know what I mean. The guns function and behave very realistically. You gotta reload them properly, aim the sights perfectly, and control the recoil. In total, you got 5 ranged weapons: the Tokarev, the AK, the Shambler, the Helsing crossbow, and the blowpipe. Each weapon here has its own manual of arms, meaning they're functionally unique, and you can change how you handle them depending on your own personal style. Reloading especially is extremely satisfying. It gives my brain a big load of neuron activation each time. That's why VR is so cool. There's no static animations that play over and over. You are the animation. Every reload is unique, and there's also room for human error too, which makes it all the more immersive. It's such a beautiful thing. It's that extra layer of authenticity and realism that you just can't replicate in a regular game. If you can master the controls and keep your cool, then you'll feel like John Wick from the Fortnite. It's also pretty neat how you can press check your guns and inspect the magazines to make sure they're loaded and ready to go. There's no unimmersive heads-up display in this game, so that's the only way to check how many rounds you got left. A neat thing I noticed is that you'll have way higher recoil when using one hand. So, it's best to use both. But it can be a little bit awkward trying to handle these guns if you don't have some sort of a gun-shaped controller. Without something holding my hands in perfect alignment, it always felt like my hands were out of sync with the hands in game. It was quite a struggle to line up the sights perfectly, like I was constantly fishing around for that front sight. But hey, I guess that's just a skill issue. If you can get good, then yeah, it's super satisfying to line up those headshots. You'll definitely want to aim for the brain, because ammunition is scarce and headshots do big damage. Unless they're wearing a helmet, it's a guaranteed one-shot kill. So you are greatly rewarded for having patience and skill. For the most part, you gotta treat every bullet like it's the last Twinkie on Earth. Metro tends to edge you with its resources. Sometimes it'll give you just the right amount of ammunition to complete a chapter. So if you're careless and waste too many bullets, then you may get softlocked from completing the chapter. But if you have good trigger discipline, good resource management, and plunder every container and cadaver that you come across, then you'll make it out just fine. It gives each piece of loot a lot more meaning. And it sure does give you a great sense of relief when you're on your last couple rounds, and then you come across a big stockpile. But when you do come across a big stockpile, well, you should know what that means. There were several sections in this game where I got caught in a big open room and had a whole bunch of mutants attacking me in waves. I had to keep my head on a swivel and snap onto them as they appeared from the darkness. The timing was tight. There was only short moments between ambushes for me to heal and reload. I also love the parts where you have to clear out dozens of human enemies. Made me feel like a SWAT operator, sweeping through rooms, leaning around corners, and pushing through critical choke points. And of course, there's the literal on-rail segments, where you're on a rail car and have to mow down waves of Nosalises with the Dushka. I do feel like these segments were copy and pasted a little bit too much, but I do enjoy mowing down Nosalises nonetheless. Hehe, machine gun go. The stealth combat's pretty fun to engage in too. The crossbow and the blowpipe come in super clutch, especially since you can reuse the ammunition. So long as you stick to the shadows and use these silent weapons, you'll be undetectable. The stealth can certainly be kinda broken though. The enemy AI is kinda brain dead and oblivious. But hey, I'd rather have it be too easy than too hard, cause if the stealth was realistic, then we would never have the opportunity to do the hilarious stealth takedowns. You see, when you do a takedown, you don't use a knife. Instead, you just punch them in the back of the head, and they instantly die and go ragdolling as if you're the One Punch Man. It's freaking comedy gold. Besides all that, the basic controls, the things that would normally be relegated to a button press, are now turned into real movements. You want to look at your inventory? Okay, reach over your shoulder and grab your backpack. Here, you can look at your compass, your objective, and see how much ammunition you have in storage. You've also got your gas mask, your bullet lighter, your battery charger thing, and pipe bombs. The pipe bombs especially are pretty fun to use because you can pull the pin, watch the fuse disintegrate right before your eyes, then toss them however you like. And to switch between different long guns, you have to reach over your other shoulder and pull out your weapons bag. You got hurt and need to heal? Okay, whip out your syringe and stab yourself with it. You want to turn on your flashlight, you say? Okay, just click the button on your forehead. It's that simple. The flashlight will run out of power though, so you gotta use the wind-up charger thingy to charge it back up. I found myself using this thing non-stop, because not only do you have to charge up your flashlight constantly, but this game loves to sprinkle in various electronics throughout the level that need to be charged up. But what I never got tired of was the gas mask. It felt like a little treat every time I had to put this thing on. You gotta pull out your backpack, take the mask from the backpack, then put it on your face, and actually screw in the filter. Not only that, but you have to physically wipe your hand across your face to wipe the mask in-game. My goodness, it's so immersive. It almost makes me wish for a nuclear winter in real life. I will admit though, I am a little disappointed how we don't get any time on the surface. I mean, there is one chapter where you go through a portion of a building on the surface, but you never get to roam the ruined streets of Moscow like you did in the previous games. Instead, all the gas mask segments occur when you run into toxic mushrooms. I suppose it makes sense for the story and how it was written by the author, but still, I wish we had a lot more time on the surface. I mean, I know this series is called Metro, so you should expect to be in the Metro a lot, but exploring the surface is a key part to the franchise as well. So really, my main complaint with Metro Awakening is that we don't have more of it. It took me about 9 hours to complete, which is about the same length as the first 2 Metro games, so that's a pretty good amount of playtime. But still, when I was done, I just wanted more. I wanted more areas to explore, more monsters to fight, more guns to shoot, more characters to talk to, and more story to unravel. This game does tend to repeat itself often, and there's not nearly as much complexity or variety when compared to the mainline games. For what it is though, a VR spin-off game, yeah, it's pretty solid. Metro Awakening is a good starting point for the first Metro VR game, so I genuinely hope it does well, because oh man, I would love to have more Metro in VR. Perhaps they can make VR versions for the mainline games. That would be pretty rad. So, to sum it all up, Metro Awakening is pretty freaking cool. If you don't have a VR headset, well, I'm not going to convince you to spend hundreds of dollars to play this game alone. But if you do have a headset, whether it be a PlayStation VR, a Steam VR, MetaQuest, or even a Vive, you name it. If you got one of those and you love Metro, then yes, absolutely, you have to play it. If you've never played Metro though, but are really into VR games in general, then I'd still heavily recommend it. It's a fun experience, and the perfect gateway drug into the series. I must warn you though, once you play Metro, your taste in games will forever change. There is no going back. That sure happened to me. Once I played Metro, I wasn't able to look at Fallout the same way. In fact, I had to go download a bunch of mods to make Fallout play and look more like Metro. It's that good. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. I would certainly like to do more general game reviews like this one. And before anyone asks, yes, I do plan to review all the gun designs in Metro. I'll get to it eventually, okay? These videos take some time to make. But till next time, I'll see y'all in the next video.